Oh, what's going on, guys? It's Brad from Headbangers. Today we've got Damon from Odd Virtue. They're a metalcore band from the US. We have a lot of good conversations about the new album, Omen, that's coming out on October the 27th. We mentioned a lot about mental health, which has played a big impact on this album, as well as just talked about how cinematic their music videos are, and a lot of other stuff as well. But yeah, we hope you enjoy it. Obviously, we're on all social media. It's everything's Headbangers Podcast except for Twitter, which is Headbangers Pod 1. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're watching the video version. And if you are listening on audio streaming services, don't forget to leave us a rating. It does help us out in the algorithm. Also, just to mention, we are going to be attending Damnation this year. If you see us knocking about, come up and have a chat with us. We are going to be there, possibly interviewing some bands and also just hanging out, enjoying the festival as we did last year. If you are looking to go to Damnation, link down below if you want to buy some tickets. We hope you enjoy the episodes. Enjoy. Welcome back to the Headbangers Podcast, where your hosts Nathan and Brad. Here today we're joined by Damon from Odd Virtue. How are you doing, man? Start off with.
Doing well, man. How are you doing?
Yeah, doing great, doing great. So we like to start off with a little icebreaker on the show. What's your funniest gig or tour story that you can recall? Starting off with the juicy one. That's how we like it.
One, I'm trying to think of ones that aren't gonna get me in trouble, like off of the top of my head. Actually, a pretty funny one that just kind of popped up was Tyler posted a reel about this. The last night of our tour with Being as an Ocean, because he would crowd surf every night, and all of us would do it, but then he decided to film himself doing it, and you could literally go to our Instagram page and find the exact thing of like him singing along during Dissolve and then them just dropping him straight on his head. Like you hear the thud, you hear the like all of it. It's pretty solid.
I always think that, of like crowd surfing. I'm just like, you never usually see that happen, but it's always a thought in your mind, like, what if this get dropped when they're like singing, or like, what if this get carried to the back of the room and have to make all the way back? But it always seems to work out. I guess in this instance, that was the exception, right?
Oh yeah, it was definitely the 1 out of 10 times where it's like normally it's not even like a it's sort of like a regular person. I'm not saying that I should ever elevate Tyler over anybody else, but it's like generally the people in the bands, people try to uh make sure that nothing befalls them. In this case, no. It was straight concussion, just
It's rough, man.
It's very, very, very rough. I
nah,
even as
it's all
like
right.
a gig, like, but like going to gigs and stuff like that or festivals, I avoid the shit out of crowd surfing. I'll do a stage dive any day, but crowd surfing, it's too many hands on me. It's like I can't trust all these people to keep me up. Like, there's no way
Which
I'm trusting them.
Still fun
which
though.
is kind of a crazy concept though, because if you stage dive wrong, that's it. Like you're
Yeah,
toast.
because
Yeah, but I feel
like
like I've
face
got
plant on the
better
floor.
luck. I feel like I've got better luck with like stage diving because it's like most of the time when I'm doing it, it's a hardcore show. It's like one of these fuckers is catching me whether they want or not
Uh,
want to or not.
yeah, I got you.
So like stage diving, it's like I feel like I'm a bit more safe. Like whereas crowd surfing, it's just like such a more long-winded thing. I'm like it gives me anxiety being up there. Like it's just like this has been going for like 10 minutes now. I kind of want to be off this ride, but I've got no choice.
No, I trust me. I get honestly, the thing about like crowd surfing that freaks me out sometimes is like sometimes I'll forget and like not take stuff out of my pockets, and then I always think that I just
That's a
lose
big worry
everything
for
that
me.
like my phone or wallet or whatever. Where I'm like, because dude, actually, here's a funny story. This is a super blast from the past. Ozfest 2005.
Oh
So,
wow.
oh yeah, this the super throwback. I might have been, I don't know how old I was, like my early teens, and Black Dahlia Murder was playing, and I was crowd surfing during them, and for whatever reason, I mean, we're in a parking lot that's probably got like 4,000, 5,000 people in it, and they're just playing Funeral Thirst solos, ripping all this, and I don't know why I even heard it. I heard, "Hey," just like over everything, over the crowd, over the band playing. And I look up and I see this fucking object flying at me, and I look at it and I was like, "Oh, that was my phone."
Oh
Oh, I
man.
needed that because at this time it's like I didn't really drive either. So like if I lost that thing, I was fucking toast. So
At least you got it back though. That's like really good. Like
yeah,
that's always
absolutely.
been my part of my procedure now. Because when I go to festivals, I know my pockets aren't really that tight, so I always give my stuff to my friend next to me, and then when I crowd surf, I'll just make my way back around and get my things. But yeah, that's always a big worry for me because, like, if you lose that, you're pretty much fucked no matter where you are.
Hmm.
9 out of 10 times, I'm always the friend that he gives a shit to.
Yeah,
I
got
was
to have
just
your
stood there like,
reliables.
this motherfucker better come back soon. I'm not, I can't be ass holding onto his phone and his wallet for this fucking long. But yeah, one thing I wanted to ask you is from listening to your music, I find like it's got such a massive sort of soundscape to it, where it could feel like it could fill any room, whether it's a small venue or like an arena. So like, is that something for you when you're writing, always at the forefront, or is it something that as a band you just kind of do naturally whenever you've wrote something, it's once it's mixed and mastered and everything like it comes out, it just happens to turn out that way?
Um, Sometimes it's conscious. Other times, I think it's just a byproduct of, maybe what we listen to on a daily basis, or at least what we respond to in a live setting. Because especially like with the songs now and kind of what we've been doing with the previous record too, it's like there was a time when we would go into the studio, write 2 or 3 songs, and literally just go on tour like right afterwards, so we could test out everything, see what worked over time, and then eventually you kind of figure it out for yourself of like, okay, this is what I like, this is what people respond to. Maybe we can experiment here or there. But for the most part, it's some trial and error, but it definitely can be. There's sometimes where like you will get shocked though of like you'll just write something and you're like, we're not gonna play this one live, or oh, we won't do this, and then it just fucking goes off, and you're like, okay.
This is in the set now.
Yeah, dude, it shocks you. I mean, you step out of yourself for a second every now and then, but it's like, everybody, you do want to write something that's gonna be catchy, something that's gonna be big, maybe sing along to, fucking just have some energy. But then at the same time too, on the flip side, maybe you want something with a little more dynamics, maybe bring out the softer side, but cue down the lights a little bit, have those moments where it's not always just like on 10. Because I think, at least for us, it's like, if we're not a band that's always like that. Like we have to like ebb and flow. So just being able to create different moods and, you know, I guess kind of go through some seasons musically in a way,
Yeah,
that's just
absolutely.
that's what we gravitate to.
It's interesting what you said about like, sometimes you're never gonna know what the fans might like, and then that'll become the part of the rotation. We were speaking to Guilt Trip like a few weeks ago, and they were talking about like, their biggest song, Thin Ice. And they said they read it in like a day, and they were so shocked that it became like their biggest hit, and then it's in rotation all the time now. But yeah, at the time of writing it, they were like, really? This one? This is the one?
Absolutely. And the thing, and I'm sure you probably know this too, it's like when artists tell you that, or bands, because I mean, we have songs like that where it's like, it's more of just you're not thinking. And when you are able to put something out like that, that only takes like the amount of time that it takes is irrelevant. It could take a month, it could take 2 days, whatever it is. But it's the fact that for them, it's like it probably was just a combination of they did exactly what they wanted to do instinctually without thinking about it, just put it out there. And the best part, like when you mentioned about the fans too, it's like audience, whatever. Sometimes like we get in our own brains of like what we think we should be, and the world will tell you very quickly, hey, this is what we like. And sometimes it works with whatever's going on at the moment. Other times there's that whole phrase of people don't know what they want until they hear it, and when they do, they want more of it.
That's so
Oh,
So,
true. Absolutely. So I want to talk about Omen that's coming out in obviously October 27th, I believe.
yep.
Yeah, obviously there's a lot of singles that have come out for it sounding amazing. I want to know like what song is resonating with you the most on this album, and why.
Ooh,
Can be lyrically, musically, just like what you're proud of, but yeah, it's interested to know.
oh man, that's like trying to pick kids, I guess, right? but everyone does inevitably have a favorite. So
Yeah, that's what I mean.
um honestly, I'd probably go with the opening track, just the title track, Omen. Um musically and lyrically. Musically, it's different as in the sense of like an album opener. A lot of people, they'll just tend to come out like super aggressive, or they want to set the tone by like just starting here, where it's like I feel like we did kind of like a ramp. It is heavy, it's brooding, it's ominous, it's weird. It kind of shows like the full scale of like the transformation that we've made, and then kicking into the rest of the record. But lyrically too, I think it also sets the tenor because it's, I mean, the name of the record itself, where it's telling you we're about to take you on the ride of everything that we've been through in the past 3 4 years. And even honestly, there's stories, there's little notes and lines from, it could be 20 years ago, of just stuff that we've had like deep down that maybe we weren't comfortable with expressing and everything else. So it's like you get all of this in just like this one like 3.5 minute burst to open up the record. It's like I think it's spectacular.
Yeah, for
Oh,
sure,
yeah.
man. No, I'm excited to hear the rest of it because obviously I've listened to the singles. It sounds like it's coming from like a raw place. I know that you guys have said a couple of times like it is due to all these things you're feeling during the pandemic that you didn't get to like actually, come out and write, and now there's a chance to kind of spread it on the canvas. But yes, it seems awesome so far. Like I love like Sober, Anxiety, like all like again tracks that sound like they come from the heart. I think when it comes from the heart, you're gonna get like a much more fresh sound as opposed to some bands that just write of it just because they like the concept of it. So yeah, I'm excited.
Oh,
Thank
yeah.
you,
And
man.
I think as well, like one thing that always like sort of struck me with you guys is how you guys like sort of sequence your songs. Like there's nothing in there that shouldn't be in there. Like it all flows very consistently well together, and kind of plays off of each other really well. So one thing I want to ask you on that is when you're writing is how are you gonna lay it out always like a big focus for you, or is it just something that, like you said, where you just kind of went down and go, okay, I'm just gonna write how I want it to feel like sound and feel like, or is it something where it's like where you retrospectively look at it and go, actually, maybe we can trim that, maybe we can get rid of that, maybe we can put this here, and or anything like that?
It's a bit of both. I think with this one, it was definitely get the basic idea out first. It was, all of these songs, for the most part, maybe minus one, one or two, they came from no like preconceived ideas. It was just we showed up to a studio, we had our friends come in, and we just wrote on the spot. And when you do it like that, sometimes like I definitely can look back and look at periods where we were like, what are we doing with all of this? But then it starts to kind of take a shape and take a form. And that's when you can go through and it's like you notice the patterns in the lyrics, you'll notice patterns maybe in music, or you'll just see like, okay, this is maybe just how I envision this going. And from there, then you can start to tie in, you know, maybe a concept or what you were saying as far as like the transition aspect. It's like I'm a big proponent of like I love concept records like Coheed and Cambria, Mastodon,
Oh
like
yeah.
the these bands that can lay out these sonic experience, Meshuggah with I and Catch 33, like where you could play it all at once and it just kind of feels like one giant stream of consciousness. Like it doesn't feel so much like, oh, this is a single here or this is a single here. And, it's a dual listening experience. Like, yes, you can have those so that, obviously people can discover your band and do all this. But then for people that do like to listen to LPs front to back or just like to ride on the road trip, throw something on where you're like, it's gonna lull you kind of into a trip. Sleep Token. Sleep Token's a great
Oh,
example of this right
absolutely.
now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like the way that those dudes are, like what they're operating on is insane. And if we can, harness not them, but just that spirit a little bit more as well too, then everybody's better off for it. So
Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
it's interesting that you say like obviously you're a massive fan of concept albums and stuff like that, because I find that that's something that a lot of modern bands sort of ignore and like sort of lack, because like a lot of people focus on singles and like just being like, oh right, well, this needs to be a single, this needs, oh, like just kind of forget that, well, no, you're writing an entire thing. It all needs to make sense together, otherwise it doesn't, like. So it's really cool that you have that sort of perspective, because no, I feel like a lot of bands at the moment just don't really have it and kind of just take it one at a time.
And there's a way to do it too that I think obviously we're not going to be the first people to do it, but it's like our record has a lot of singles, but at the same time, it's like the way that the songs are written or just like how everything is structured, it doesn't feel like it in some spots where maybe you try to mix in like a few longer ones or you mix in like a slower one. Just again, like you were saying, pacing, not just being boom, 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 boom the entire time, but giving the listener a chance to breathe, give them a chance to kind of reflect on what you've just put before them before you go on to the next thing. Don't overcrowd it with like the same kind of emotion. Like these are all, it's the little nuances of like, I mean, it's taken years to kind of figure it out, I think, but we're at a point now where it's like, I think we're hitting the collective consciousness of everybody kind of moving in the same direction. Not that it didn't before, but it's like, it's really at a head where like it's becoming, I think, something bigger than what we initially or probably ever thought it could be. So
Yeah, I think like concept albums, they're like a journey, right? So it's like, almost like a feature film. So I think seeing, obviously, because we've listed the singles, but then like seeing how it's going to be formed and how it's all going to go into each other, I'm interested to see how it's going to be. Like I said, like Omen's going to be the start, and that's going to kind of like set the tone for the album. I just think like, yeah, much on what Nathan said as well. Like, I think I do resonate more with those albums. Like, they're the albums that I kind of remember as a full piece, as opposed to, just like a normal album. Especially like, you mentioned like Mastodon, also Opeth, a big one. That's always been some of my favorite concept albums. So yeah, it's an interesting thing for sure.
hell yeah. Oh yeah, no, dude, we're excited. That's all I can, I'll probably say that 70,000 times, but we're so proud of what all of us were able to do, the people, everybody else involved as well. Like people that just lent their ears to us, speaking about some more private moments or empowering us to share more than what we did in the past. You know, it really is a group thing, and like especially like with the concept stuff too. It's like people also forget that it's like we as human beings we love stories, whether it is television, if it's music, if it's books, if it's just day-to-day life, going to the grocery store and you're talking to so and so about their life or whatever it is. It's like the natural inclination for human connection, but just doing it in a way where it's like, hey, let me see if I could just hold your attention a little bit longer than just this little 60-second soundbite or this 10-second clip, or, you know, not to say that anything is wrong with that in social media nowadays, because I feel like it is necessary as a means of like opening your audience and everything else. But when it comes down to this is, your livelihood, this is your story, this is your life. I think some stuff like that can't get distilled into just one song that gets played on the radio or one Instagram or TikTok reel or this. It's like there needs to be something deeper for that person that is looking for that to be able to latch onto, like we did
Right.
back in the day. So
Oh yeah, I think definitely, and I think a lot of people will resonate with that. And especially with some of the themes that you will be touching, I think a lot of people it will benefit a lot of people listening to that as well.
Yeah,
thank you,
because
man.
obviously, like, I know that like a lot of it, surrounds mental health, and I know it might take a lot of different turns within that and stuff that's quite personal. Like, what would you say is like the main message that you want to relay with Omen, like to the world when it comes out?
Um, that you don't have to be. I'm gonna figure out how I'm gonna say this the best way. It's kind of like a victim to your own mistakes and transgressions. And especially with the opening track, it's a letter to my younger self of the kind of, if I know now, what would I have done with it back then? Like, don't be so hard on yourself. Don't let like mistakes in life kind of derail you, and always having to think like, oh, I deserve like the bad things that have happened, or you know, if it's something where it's like it's really not that big of a deal, but you blow it up to be a big deal because there's so many other things going on around you that you kind of brainwash and trick yourself, and then everything snowballs from there. And that's just kind of the way of like me saying it's okay. It's going to be okay. You're going to mess up. That's what's going to happen in life. That's part of just being a human being. But don't let it be something where the mistakes are the thing that ultimately come to define your existence.
I think it's good that there's like the empowering message behind it as well. Like, and again, people will resonate with that a lot when it comes out. But I imagine, like, as well for you is the band itself, like, people will resonate in the audience. But I don't know, like, when you write this stuff as a band, like, do you feel like it's sort of a release? Like, all these kind of feelings that you've had, you can now put on the canvas, and it feels like you've got a weight lifted off your shoulder. Is that how you
Of
look at it?
course.
Or
Oh yes. It's therapy. It's expensive therapy. But no, nonetheless though, it's something that you can't really quantify, man. It's like here we are, we're on the phone, we're talking with each other, and it's like we're talking about this thing that like, and I mean you can't see it, you can taste it in some weird way. It's like it's beyond us. It really is. It's something that it's an energy that you have to harness between all the individuals. And when we can all go on stage, or we can play back the tracks in the studio, or we're just on a ride together on tour or whatever it is, it's like those are the moments beyond even just our own music. Like when we're just jamming out to some of our favorite artists together, and it's like those kind of full circle moments are the things where it's like it all comes together and it all validates, what you're doing. And when you say like a release, it's release, it is therapeutic, it is relaxation, it's all the above, man.
Oh
oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah, I do find like because I also do music as well. I do find like when I'm writing about stuff, like I always lean into the personal stuff because it is like a massive release. Like so you walk away and then you feel like, oh, it's like okay, I can kind of let go of that now, and it's just a great feeling. And as well, I appreciate the fact that you have gone into that area because I think there's a lot of people that internally will struggle with that like the themes on that album that will probably get a lot of help from it going, okay, it's not just me that constantly beats himself up over shit and everything like that. So it's great that you're doing that.
And and really that's kind of the hope, is because for a while it's like, I don't want to say that we didn't do it, but you always think like, oh, this is too personal, or you do want to keep some elements of your life private because, you are entitled to that. You don't have to share everything with everyone. But I think depending on like the type of artist that you are, and especially in like metal and rock and some of these forms of music that are a little more human, like I want to say human based, but it's like the connective tissue it feels like it just means a little bit more. So
Yeah,
I feel
it's
like
raw.
be being in this realm of music, there's a responsibility that comes along with that of, okay, if I'm really going to set out and do this, if I'm going to be open and honest about what I'm doing, it's going to also teach me a lesson of how to open up, how to become comfortable with myself, how to put these things into words or into musical form or anything else. Because at the end of the day, if we say nothing, you never know what your impact can be on the world. I can look back and be like, man, if I didn't hear Hybrid Theory for the first time, like if Chester and Mike Shinoda and all them boys were, you know, caught up by fear of, whatever, anxiety, depression, substance stuff, like if they let that be the thing that took away their voice, then you and I would not be having this conversation. But it's the fact that they were strong enough, or not even necessarily strong enough. They just felt inclined to do it. They were just like, you know what? Like you said before with the release thing, man, it's sometimes you just do things and and you're just like, here it is. this is what it is, and retroactively you'll kind of understand the meaning later. Or there's that whole thing your parents would tell you, it's like you'll understand this when you get older.
Yeah.
And the power of using your voice or your platform goes way, way, way beyond what your scope of, this world probably is. There's so many times, and this is not even just our own music, but just, when you travel, and we've had the privilege of being able to go to a lot of different places in the world, you just talk to people. You see like, oh, what was your introduction to this? Or, what's going on here? And you realize a lot of problems are very similar. And then you start to understand why and how music is such a universal language, where it's like, hey, just because, you felt this way one day and da 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 doesn't mean somebody that's in, you know, fucking Australia or Korea or Germany or, South America maybe doesn't feel that way at the same time, but they don't have that thing to help them, give them their own, way of expressing things. So
Yeah, I completely agree, especially like what you said about like the traveling and the universal part of music. Like, I mean, the whole thing, like what me and Earth do to speaking to bands across the world, like, we spoke to people from everywhere, like literally everywhere. And like, we all fangirl about music, and that's like something that changed. We'll have deep conversations about like the concepts of the albums. And I think that's what's great. And I feel like, especially like with, raw music like metal, like rock, and like there is other genres as well. There's just some that are just so passionate. And I think like it's great that you can share that with everyone, and everyone's got that same sort of mindset.
absolutely. And it's, again, it's a rare thing to come across. If people come across, some people aren't as fortunate to, find this thing, but if you do, it it really shows, I guess, I don't know, that there's some beautiful and like kind of, I don't want to say like unknown things in this world, but it's like you just have to kind of see it to believe it, to be into it, to feel it. It's a special thing. It really is. It really is.
Oh yeah.
Agreed.
Like I think a lot of people that are into it from outsiders looking in, they kind of just judge it. It's like, oh well, I don't get it, so I'm not going to get involved. But if I'm walking down the street and I see someone in like a Cannibal Corpse shirt, instantly that guy's my best mate. Like I know I could talk to him for like 40 minutes and then not be bored and just be like, right, well, have a nice day, man, and just keep walking. And it's just
Mhm.
such a rare thing to know. It's like, oh, that guy's wearing the same shirt. It's like, and then you could probably just go up to him and go, oh, like, what do you think to this band? What do you think to that band? And they're like, yeah, I like that band. I like this band. You listen to this band? No, check this band out. It's such a nice, genuinely nice thing to like to know like that you're part of this kind of massive community.
Absolutely. And like you said, you said it, you hit the nail right on the head, man. It's like you can see somebody walking down the street wearing a whatever t-shirt, you go up, start a conversation. You might never see this person ever again in your life, but at the same time, it's like you just had that moment where you're like,
Yeah, so is that in it? I
Yeah,
completely agree. I want to talk about your music videos because I'm like a video guy. Nathan loves like video stuff as well, and like the so cinematic is like a piece. Like if you could choose any director to direct your music video, and I'm talking like it could be a feature film director, anyone that you look up to, who would you have to direct your music video?
ooh, man, that's a hard one. Um, if I had to go like straight movie director, there's a couple, but for some different reasons. Like if I wanted just the most outrageous, over the top, like kind of hilariously like metal video, it'd probably be Michael Bay,
Oh
just
Oh
for
my
yeah.
his
god!
Oh yeah.
like just his style. Like because the thing is, it's like it would just be it'd be explosions, it would be pyro, it would be
There'll definitely be
planes
explosions, that's for sure.
planes crashing into planets and like just we would have to make it like the most insane over the top thing. Um,
Yeah, you
I
have
would
to go for
say
Michael Bay if you're gonna go Michael Bay. You can't half-ass a Michael Bay.
no. David Fincher is another one of my favorite directors as well. So like 8 millimeter, Fight Club, Seven, The Game, like kind of noir, like grimy, like late 90s, like that kind of vibe. Like I'd love to do something like that too. Um, But again, we've worked with some great people, man. Fucking Scott Hansen, um, my buddy Pavel, he did a lot of videos on our last cycle. He's done stuff for Imminence most recently, but like he's absolutely incredible. Like there's a list of of people where it's like hopefully we can eventually get to it. Like Ori and Dana from Kingdom of Giants helped us out with a couple of videos. Like just that was kind of like one of the goals, I guess, of COVID too. It was just like now's the time. Just reach out, see who you can get in contact with, and just see where it can take you. You know what I mean? But yeah, those are definitely some of the top tier
Oh
choices
yeah.
right there.
Oh yeah, I
Love the
respect the Michael
contrast.
Bay pick. I respect the Michael Bay pick because like I'm going on a bit of a tangent here, but I literally just finished watching like all the Transformers films, right? Because my girlfriend has not seen any of them, and I was like, right, you need to
Uh-oh.
watch at least one. And she was like, okay. She was like, why? And she was watching it. She's like, this makes no sense. The story's like terrible. I was like, it's not for the story. It's for cool shit exploding and robots fighting each other. Like, there's no story here. That's all you need to see. That's all you need to see.
Hmm.
You need to turn your brain off for 5 minutes. It's like, oh fuck it, that was sick. Like, that's every single like Michael Bay film, which is oh shit, that was fucking sick. Like,
Yeah, it's like Fast and
Oh,
Furious. You
dude.
don't watch it for the story.
Oh, I love those movies. I love
Yeah, me
like
too.
I love action like cheesy, weird, campy action movies. I'm all about like if the, I need the dialogue to be bad so that I could
oh
just
yeah.
Yeah,
laugh.
it has to be. It's like Expendables, like it's the cheesiest shit ever. It's just one-liners, but like sometimes you just need that. It can't be serious films all the time. And some people are, oh, but it's shit though. I'm like, yeah, exactly. That's why we love them.
You don't have to, like he said, you just turn your brain off. Just let things happen. Let again because the thing that it kills me sometimes too, and this ties into music out with film as well, where people are like they want to be smarter than what
Yeah.
they might lead themselves to believe. And it's like, nah, dude, there's a reason why these things are always going to be made. It's like there's something primal about just fucking shit blowing up or, race against time, like get your blood pumping. Like it's the same thing with, again, metal rock when you go to a festival and it's like, guess what? 99% of the bands are probably going to do. There's probably going to be some kind of circle pit. There's going to be some kind of crowd surfing. There's going to be some kind of chant. There's going to be some like just there's a formula sometimes and it works. If you just let it just take you, just let it take you, then
Yeah.
you know you'll be better off for it.
I think yeah, as
Oh yeah.
well with like bands, some bands like, they might make like similar music all the time. Like, Slayer pretty much made the same album 24 times at least. But yeah, at the same time, like, the formula is good. Like, sometimes because so I feel like there's a lot of bands that like they want to push it as hard as possible. Like it has to be the most technical, it has to be the most like outrageous, but sometimes you can strip it back to the basics, much like a movie, and it's still good.
Hmm. Just you know, again, you're gonna go see Fast and the Furious. You know exactly what you're gonna get. You're gonna get someone's gonna drive a car in the middle of the ocean. Uh, Shit's gonna blow up. There's gonna be a weird love story in some way. The Rock might be there. He might not be there. Like like it's a puzzle. It's like they almost have turned into like heist movies.
Oh yeah.
Like they're not really like racing movies anymore, but they're more so of like, oh, okay, race against time. How are we going to blah 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 blah? And it's like, I get it. I'm down. Let's go. I don't know where this is gonna take me, but I'm about it.
Oh yeah. Like there's like a level of film where like I think it can get so bad that it goes the opposite way. Where it's like
Hmm.
it's not serious. And even though like someone who might have wrote it might have been taking it seriously, it becomes a comedy. Like I purposely watched some of the worst films, like the ones that is like on Rotten Tomatoes like lowest score. I'm like,
Yeah,
right,
Sharknado or something,
but
yeah.
like where's the actual like where's it actually shining? Because if I'm watching this in my head, it's a like comedy. It's definitely a great comedy. Like, and that's how most of them go. I'm like,
It's all
most
about
of the time, I'm
perception, isn't
pissing
it?
myself laughing. I'm like, this is great. Like, why do people hate this?
Hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, just, have fun with it. Just relax. Just let it, like you said, just let it take you, see where it goes. Have fun.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
I want to talk about so I read an interview that like your music taste, a lot of it when you first got into music came from your mum with like, stuff like Motown. I want to ask, like, what was the first like metal album that you bought? Like, when do you remember first getting into it, and how was that experience?
Ooh, first metal album that I bought. That's a good question because I'm pretty sure this is a long time ago, so I probably can't incriminate myself, but I've definitely stolen CDs before, like whether it was Limp Bizkit or Slipknot, Seven Dust. I think the first one I actually like bought was actually I bought three of them together. I think I bought Godsmack, Linkin Park, and one other one. I can't think of what it was. I threw the Godsmack one out the window because I was like, this shit sucks. And then
Do you still think the same, or have you changed since then?
I think Godsmack has some fucking songs. Like they have some shit where I'm like, when you hear it, and it probably is just because I grew up with it. It just it feels iconic. Where I'm just like, yeah, okay, I can let this bang for a little bit. But then they have some other stuff where I'm like, nah, I gotta turn that off. It was bad.
Yeah, I
And
do agree
especially too,
actually.
you know, at that time, it's like I needed something that kind of felt a little more like I won't say like angsty, but like definitely Hybrid Theory. We'll go with that one because it was like that was the one where like I bought it and was like, this thing is not leaving my CD player for the next like 5 years.
Yeah,
Like,
it still blows my mind now, even after all that time.
yeah,
It's
no,
so good.
it's damn good. But yeah, bands though, it's like, dude, I remember like because I was a big wrestling fan, so like I'd hear Creed, you'd hear like Static X, like just so many different kinds and styles where it's like, because that's the other thing too is like back then, like you had to go to the record store, go to a CD store, and it's like I didn't have a job and having money, so I'm just like, well, guess I can just go listen to it for a little bit and get kicked out eventually.
No, I mean that's the thing though. Like, stuff like wrestling, Tony Hawk Underground, Guitar Hero. Like, I think they all need some like sort of royalties or something for just the amount of like, metalheads that they produce. Because I speak to a lot of people, like even people I'm close with, like they got into metal from like some games or usually Tony Hawk or wrestling. Wrestling's definitely the biggest one, but yeah, I think that's like a pretty big gateway, I'd say.
Well, and and it's so synonymous with it. It's like you get to see the aggression kind of play out. You get to portray a character, or you can, put yourself into your favorite wrestler's shoes and be like, hey, maybe one day I can either, you can inspire somebody to want to do that, or just be like us, where it's like, hey, I want to write somebody's theme song now.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, like wrestling, I definitely think like the first time like I sort of felt like, oh yeah, no, I kind of like this stuff, like was when my cousin would always watch like WWE, and he'd watch it religiously, and he used to watch us a lot as a kid, when we were kids and stuff like that. And like I can't remember what fucking wrestler it was that came out, but I remember just hearing just like a really fucking chuggy like guitar riff, thinking, like this shit kind of slaps. And I'm like like really getting into the song, and obviously it ended, and I just kind of forgot about it because like 10, and then like I remember it going on Spotify and finding that track and being like, that was the fucking song, that was the
Yeah.
song, and losing my shit about it because it was like a core memory for me where I remember just sat there watching like proper like bouncing my head to it.
Do you remember which wrestler it was?
No, that's the thing. I can't because I was quite young. I just remember just like hearing the riff and just remembering it being like quite chuggy and quite heavy, but not remembering like why I liked it, who it before. I just remember just watching me like, what's this song? And like really
Fair.
curious about this, like specifically just the song. But yeah, wrestling, I think definitely needs to get paid some like royalties or some shit for getting all the guys into metal. Like,
Oh
um,
yeah.
one thing I want to sort of ask is like outside of the band, what are some of your hobbies and interests that you keep yourself busy with outside of like touring and writing and everything like that?
Uh, Working. Uh, no, man, it's like I love going to like the beach. I love being outside, riding my bike, go to the gym, cooking, food, like sports. Just I don't know. I would say like nothing too crazy, but it's all stuff that like you can do and kind of zone out of, music is basically my life. So it's like I do something with it every single day in some way, shape, or form. So if there is a thing where uh, baseball, they're in the playoffs right now. So like you watch a little baseball when I get home, basketball season, football season, football's already going, basketball's about to start up, just grill out with the homies in the backyard, watch a game, get some friends over, kind of just chill out like that, man. Like I'm a simple guy.
It sounds fun though, to be honest. Like, I don't know. They all seem like very productive hobbies as well.
Oh yeah, it's doing stuff. It's you can learn something from it that where you never know what it can apply to as far as something else. And at the end of it, again, it's like it's also creative. Like cooking, you can be creative. Your fitness journey, like how you want to sculpt your body, that's another thing. Games, like again, play some basketball, play some football. I love card games like blackjack and poker and you know, gambling stuff like that. That's all that stuff is great. Just I can find fun in so many different things. So
Oh, yeah,
That
it's
is
good to
awesome,
hear,
man.
man. Like, yeah, they're all definitely like productive, like hobbies and stuff like that. It sounds chill, man. Like, it sounds like a very idea, really. Like, it's I'd love to do stuff like that.
hell yeah. You guys sports guys at all or not really?
No, like, I'm not. I've never been a massive sports guy. Like, I think it's so. Like, my brother was really into sports as a kid, and I kind of got dragged to a lot of like sports with him. And I think it just created something in me where I'm like, I kind of resented sports for a while as a kid. So
Yeah.
like, I was kind of like really out of it. As an adult now, I try to get into more sports. Like, I like watching football now, whereas like before, I was like, I wouldn't watch it at all. But I did have a weird stint where I got into like, I did get into basketball during like COVID because me and my mate had like, I think we did a sweepstake with just me and him, where we bet on different teams, and we're like just betting with each other. Like, it was just somewhat fun to do in COVID because we had nothing else to do. So I bought
Hmm.
a past NBA just to watch like some of the games, but we'd have to stay up like well late and just be chatting shit about games. And then after that, I just never watched it again. But it was a great time, like during COVID.
And dude, no, and dude, COVID basketball was a different beast, man. It's like I've grown up with basketball my entire life, and it's like to watch like the pros play in an isolated environment where it's literally just your skill and nothing else. Like nothing else can affect you. It was some of the most pure, just getting back to basics, like going to the Y and just watching your friends just yam on somebody. Like it was sick. And like kind of like what you said too, it's like your mind is open because it's like it is COVID. There's not really much else going on, and you're like, let me just see what else might tick some boxes. And it's like even something like a friendly wager where it's like you're now invested. So
Oh
now
yeah,
you're like, oh shoot, like okay. So
oh
that
yeah,
just
like
means when they bring the London games back or whenever we head over there, I'm gonna have to figure something out.
well, that's the thing. Like, because I knew there was some on the line. It made me more invested in it. So I'd just be sat there going like, these guys got to fucking win. I've got like 20 quid on this fucking game, and he's already stolen like 40 quid from me already. And it's like the
Hmm.
win, I'd be like, fucking get in. Like, it gave something else to the sport where it's like, but just getting to watch it got me more into sports and like actually being able to watch it a little bit better. Like before, I kind of would just zone out, but now when you're actually watching, like, oh no, I'm actually watching like people that are the best at this thing do this thing. And it's actually really fun to watch.
Yeah,
Definitely.
hell yeah.
So we are sort of getting to the end point of the interview now. One way that we like to leave it is if it was a zombie apocalypse, which member would you be least reliant on, and which member would you be most reliant on?
I'm a dead motherfucker if that's the case.
Luckily, you're immune in this case, but you know.
Yeah, sorry guys, we're all dead. That's it. I don't know. I can't trust none of you. Can't trust none of you. Mm-mm. Maybe Mike out of everybody, but yeah, definitely not Tyler and definitely not Ryan.
To be fair,
Okay,
that was
so
like the
they're the
most
least then.
honest answer we've ever got, because like before every band's like, oh, I just don't know who I'd be the least reliant on. And you can see that in their eyes, like they're thinking of someone, but they don't want to say it. But at least you were like, I can't fucking trust any of them.
Nah, because if it's a zombie apocalypse, yo, get out of here. First off, they're gonna be gone. They're gonna be trying to figure that. I'm like, hey, I get it, I understand, but if I had to rely, nah, I'm dead. I'm dead.
I think it's just a funny question because, like, I feel like it's that sort of like subconscious thought that I think at least every guy has had at least once, and like they've imagined the scenario with their friends and they've already got them picked out. So, like Nathan said, you can see it in people's eyes that they definitely know who they would pick and who they wouldn't. But I love your honesty. You're just like, yeah, I've thought about this. Yeah, these guys, no.
Oh, I can't wait for them. They're gonna be like, I hate you so much. I'm like, yeah, it
Can
is
you
what it
blame
is.
me?
Yeah, you
Exactly.
put a
Yeah.
tattoo on your back now.
It's like it's not my fault that I can't trust you. It's you.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on, by the way. It's been awesome chatting with you. I can't wait to hear Omen when it comes out and it's full release. Obviously, I hope you guys do a UK tour sometime soon. Love to see you guys around for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think no, we didn't announce. We do have a tour in the EU in February, but I don't think we come to the UK then. But I think we're working on something for later in the year next year. So definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome, man. Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you so much. It's been great.
Hey, no problem, man. You guys made my day great, man. Appreciate it.
Oh,
No worries,
you
thank
too,
you.
man. Cheers for that. All right, take care. Wish you all the
Thank
best.
you as well.